What is up, yo? Bro, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie, bro. It's about to be crazy. It's about to be crazy, bro. Like, I'm about to react. And y'all seen the title, bro. I'm gonna react to Old Man Logan. It's damn near 3 hours, bro. 3 hours. Bro, every viewer I get, listen, I'm gonna stay for every viewer I get. For every viewer I get, I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to do longer videos. You feel me? 3 hours. This is damn near 3 hours. So the next stream I do is gonna be on. Yeah, it's gonna be like on. Dude, I can't even get my words out, bro. Like it's gonna be longer videos. You feel me? Like 3 hour videos. We're gonna see, and we're gonna see from there. You feel what I'm saying? So. And one more thing, bro. In the next few hours, the next hour or so, it's gonna be my birthday, bro. And your boy's turning 20, bro. Your boy is turning 20 this year, bro. Chat rate one. Chat rate one. Chat rate one. Chat rate, one chat rate. But hey, we about to react to this video right here, Old Man Logan, man. And oh Lord, at 12 o'clock, I know people gonna be blowing up my phone, bro. It's gonna interrupt the doggone stream, bro. God, oh. People gonna, well, they finna go crazy on us. They finna go crazy, bro. Lord have mercy. So, let's go and get to the video, man. I wish I did this early, but it's all good, though. It's all good, bro. It's gonna be
Welcome to the full story series right here at Comic Storian. Today we're going to be doing Old Man Logan. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what the full story is, this is us taking a lot of our older videos that have come out over the spread of 6 months to sometimes up to 3 years, meaning
so
voices
long,
will change,
bro.
styles will change, and even quality changes as we're going through it. Old Man Logan is a famous storyline in which we see a potential future for Wolverine. Recently, in 2015, Marvel decided it would be fun to bring that older version of Wolverine to the current day to replace our actual Wolverine. And so what we got was a long-running storyline of Old Man Logan, about 50 issues and crossovers. Now, some of those storylines weren't that great, so I didn't cover them. So what we did cover in this basic spread of Old Man Logan stuff was the original 1 through 30 issues, and then we jumped to the finale, and we did a bunch of the crossovers where he fought against Deadpool, and he fought against Star-Lord, and he fought against a Hulk merged with a Wolverine. Either way, this is the bulk of the Old Man Logan storyline that happened recently in comics. It's great, it's fun, I hope you guys enjoy, and if you end up watching it all the way to the ending, you're incredible, but since it's so long, I do have to say, if you like our style for presenting storylines, please consider subscribing to our channel. With as long as it is, we need you guys to give this a smash of a like, just so that it can be in the YouTube algorithm. Either way, thank you so much, and enjoy the video. We open on Logan, now an old man riding his horse into his small rundown farm in California. He's in charge of this land, and he has a family, a wife, and 2 small children. Things are not well for Logan. This is not a happy life, but a life with struggle where Logan pays rent to the Hulk gang, and the rent is due. With nothing to pay this month, Logan refuses to sell his children's toys to pay this rent, so he decides that he will face the Hulk gang and try to reason with them. Perhaps get a pass on the rent this month, but the Hulk gang does not do reason. And when they arrive on the farm the next day in the Fantastic car, they bully Logan and they run him down. They already know that he can't pay the rent. A confrontation is brewing, and suddenly Logan pops his claws and he fights back against the Hulks. Except he doesn't.
Hulks.
It's just a daydream. Fleeting
this
thought.
is crazy.
Logan has become a pacifist, and he swore to never unleash his claws again. And instead, the Hulk gang pummels Logan into the ground. They leave him a bloody mess, and they tell him that he owes double next month. Otherwise, his family will die. Lying in his bed, Logan's healing factor helps mend the wounds, and he's paid a visit by one of the old Avengers, Hawkeye. who is now blind. But even a blind man can see the trouble that Logan is in, and he proceeds to offer the former Wolverine a job to help Hawkeye deliver a package to New Babylon on the east coast of the United States. If Logan's willing to help him, he'll pay him $500, which should presumably cover his debt to the Hulk gang. Logan agrees to take the job, and the next day he says goodbye to his family and he gets on board the Spider-Mobile with Hawkeye, and they embark on an adventure to save Logan's family. Their journey begins by taking them through Northern California, where they encounter the Monoloids that live underground and have infested San Francisco. As Hawkeye tells Logan, these things are new and they've been sinking whole cities. He thinks that this is the Earth trying to take back what belongs to it. They begin by exploring an empty building for survivors when the Ghost Riders attack out of nowhere. Logan scrambles to get to the Spider-Mobile, but he's immediately attacked by a Ghost Rider gang member. The gang member shows no mercy as he beats the life out of Logan, egging him on. "Why don't you fight back?" And Logan tells his enemies that he will never hurt another living soul. Leaving Logan on the ground, Hawkeye has seen enough of this astonishing sight and he proceeds to shoot the Ghost Riders with arrows, murdering them where they stood. You see, Hawkeye might be blind, but he has an amazing sense of hearing. Logan is appalled by the violence from this one-time adventure, but Hawkeye just looks at Logan in disgust and asks, "What the hell did they do to you, man?" And Logan replies, "They broke me, bub." The two eventually arrive at Hammer Falls, which is the #1 tourist attraction in America because, well, it's the final resting place of Thor's hammer. Even though they were simply planning to stop through the town, they're immediately approached by Ultron 8, who is now married to Hawkeye's third ex-wife, Tanya. Ultron 8 pleads with Hawkeye to go see her, and when they meet her, they learn that his daughter, Ashley, has recently formed a super team that has been captured by the new Kingpin. Hawkeye needs to rescue her, but Logan is only interested in going to deliver the package. Hawkeye offers to double his pay if he helps him rescue his daughter, and Logan reluctantly agrees, although he still plans on not using any violence to assist Hawkeye. He won't pop these claws. At Salt Lake City, Kingpin sits in an arena as he watches two of Ashley's teammates, Daredevil and Punisher, get eaten alive by a pack of raptor-like dinosaurs. As Fisk leaves the arena, Logan identifies where Fisk is keeping Ashley, and Hawkeye enacts a crazy plan where he uses the Spider-Mobile to simply drive into the building and rescue her. The Spider-Mobile can do whatever a spider does. As the car crashes into the prison, Hawkeye leaps out and kills all of the opposition in his way. And as he frees Ashley, the Kingpin walks in demanding to know what's going on. But before he can get an answer, the newly freed Ashley takes a shotgun and uses it to decapitate the Kingpin. As it turns out, Ashley was planning to take over the Kingpin's territory by killing the Kingpin. She had no intention of coming here to save people. Hawkeye's daughter has gone completely evil villain on her father, and she lifts the shotgun to bash in Hawkeye's head. But Logan uses the Spider-Mobile to drive into the building and rescue Hawkeye from his power-crazy daughter. They drive off only to be pursued by Ashley's newly acquired evil henchmen. And as Logan and Hawkeye make their escape, suddenly the earth opens up beneath them in an earthquake, and they fall into a dark and awful peril. The victims of the earthquake surround Logan and Hawkeye in darkness as they realize that they're surrounded by the Monoloids, and they're going to be eating them alive. Thankfully, our heroes are able to free the Spider-Mobile and climb out of the earthquake crevasse, just like a spider can. Shortly after that, the two travel across the country without much more incident, and we see some of the horrible sights of this new world. Eventually, they find a calm moment to sit down for a drink at a small dive bar in Des Moines, where Logan nearly lets his claws let loose on a drunken idiot. He gathers his composure, and he storms out of the bar, and Hawkeye once again asks him, "What happened, man? What did they do to you?" This time, Logan says, "Sit down and I'll tell you." So you want to know why Logan hasn't popped his claws in 50 years? Why he is now a pacifist? It began in Westchester, where Wolverine was with Jubilee, and they were receiving distress calls from the Avengers, S.H.I.E.L.D., and the Fantastic Four. It turns out that the villains had finally assembled, and they were attacking everyone at once. It's just at that moment that a large group of villains pop into the room, and they seemingly kill Jubilee. There are too many villains to count, not just mutant villains, but all of the famous Marvel villains all at the same time. This is it, the final showdown. Wolverine pops his claws, and he does what he does best. By eviscerating all of the big bads, he fights to the protests of the mutant children of the Mutant Academy, and he continues his assault on these supervillains as he begins a long, drawn-out battle with Bullseye, which ends with Wolverine punching his claws into his gut. As Bullseye dies in his arms, it's at that moment that Wolverine comes to his senses, and he sees that it is Jubilee dead in his arms. In the room with Wolverine is Mysterio, the Master of Illusions, and he says, Did you really think that you could do this alone? Take down 40 superpowered villains? Talk about delusions of grandeur. But your friends? People who would hesitate? That's a different matter entirely. Just then, Wolverine peers over his shoulder, and he sees the room for what it really is. What really happened? All of his X-Men allies have died by his claws. After that, he walked off into the wilderness, and he found a train track where he laid down and let the train run over his neck and head over and over. And Wolverine died. Logan would never pop his claws again. Logan and Hawkeye continue their journey east the next day through Doomshead, Illinois, where a giant venom-infected Tyrannosaurus Rex attacks them in the Spider-Mobile. They try to outrun it, but it's so fast, and Hawkeye uses the secret gun in their car to shoot it, but it's ineffective. Obviously, it's Venom. But it's just at that moment that a man dressed in a black coat whispers a word, and the Venom symbiote flies off of the T-Rex, and it collapses immediately. Before Logan and Hawkeye can ask any more questions, they're instantly transported to a strange facility, and it is here that they are greeted by a familiar face. The White Queen, Emma Frost, who looks surprisingly young because she mentally projects the image of her younger self to everyone around her. She has transported them to the Forbidden Quarter, which is the home of her husband, Dr. Doom. We find out that her marriage has preserved the 20 members of the mutant species that remain, as well as her old ally Black Bolt, the mysterious man who helped them with the T-Rex. After a few choice words, Emma has the Spider-Mobile fixed up and she sends them on their way as Dr. Doom looks on. Shortly after departing from the Forbidden Quarter, our two travelers pass through the town known as Pym Falls, which, as they're crossing, they see why it's called that, and they reach their destination, New Babylon, which is overlooked by a giant statue of Red Skull. As they drive into the bustling city, Hawkeye finally reveals the true nature of his journey. Logan had suspected that their secret cargo was drugs this whole time, but as it turns out, Hawkeye was delivering something far more valuable than that. The two walk into a room where Hawkeye recognizes their contact, a man by the name of Tobias, and he opens the case to show Tobias that the package is intact and still containing 99 vials of super soldier serum that they plan to use to spark a rebellion against the Red Skull. Just imagine it, 99 Captain Americas. As payment, Hawkeye asks only to join the rebellion as a hero, even though he's old and blind, and Tobias agrees. Hawkeye is ecstatic and he tells Tobias, man, this is like when they first let me join the Avengers. It just feels so good to be accepted somewhere. But at that moment, Logan is riddled with bullets by one of the men in the room, and Tobias pulls a gun on Hawkeye and he shoots him in the stomach. It was all a setup by Red Skull. All of Hawkeye's hopes and dreams for redemption are gone, and he says to the vile Tobias, do your worst. Then Tobias shoots Clint Barton, Hawkeye, right between the eyes. Meanwhile, over in the Capitol building of New Babylon, Red Skull remembers defeating his greatest foe, Captain America, as he stands in a room filled with the memorabilia of all of the departed Marvel heroes. As Tobias and his shield lackeys walk into the room, we see that Red Skull is wearing Captain America's uniform as some sort of sick tribute to his fallen enemy. Tobias then drops 2 body bags in the room and also has the super soldier serums and a suitcase of money that was going to be used for the whole operation. Just as Red Skull is complimenting them on a job well done, Logan rises from his body bag, still regenerating from the many bullet wounds, and he punches out Tobias and the other SHIELD members. Logan looks at Red Skull and says, "You're going down, Skull," and the two of them engage in a bloody fight. They throw punches back and forth, and Red Skull locks the room down so that they are in there alone and he can take out Logan by himself. Red Skull eventually picks up Black Knight's ebony sword from his trophy case, and just as he's about to strike down Logan, Logan blocks it with Captain America's shield. Logan, now armed with his legendary weapon, has the upper hand and he soon knocks down Red Skull. And without warning, and without mercy, he uses the vibranium edge of the shield to decapitate Red Skull, the first life that Wolverine has taken in over 50 years. Logan quickly has to find an escape from the rest of the soldiers that are in the compound, so he puts his hand on Iron Man's suit in the trophy case and he decides to use that against the soldiers. Then he sees the suitcase full of money and he grabs it and he flies out of New Babylon using what's left of the suit's power. It turns out there is just enough power to take Logan from New Babylon to within a 36-hour walk of his home in California. So, all is well. He's returning with 2 weeks to spare and the money so that he can pay the rent to the Hulk gang and then live happily ever after. But when he gets home, he finds out the grisly truth. The Hulk's got bored. He walks into his home only to find his wife and 2 children murdered on the floor. It is then, with a resounding shtick, that Logan dies
Say what?
and Wolverine is born.
Whoa.
Then, with a resounding shtick, that Logan dies
Yo, what? I thought that's
and Wolverine is
I thought
born
you said
again.
something else.
What happens after this is not pretty or subtle. It's just pure carnage. Wolverine does what he does best, and he hunts down each and every member of the Hulk gang, and he murders them in as many grotesque ways as he can. He does not hold back. His revenge is nearly complete. And after tracking down every member of the Hulk gang, he troubles upon Bruce Banner's lair for the final showdown. Bruce Banner has been holed up here with one of his grandchildren, simply known as Baby Bruce. Bruce Banner doesn't give very many reasons for why he moved into the country and had a redneck family of Hulks, but he does explain that it was probably something to do with the gamma radiation messing with his head a little. So old, frail human form of Bruce Banner, with superhuman strength, fights against Logan, and as they fight, Banner reveals that he was bored of being a landlord, bored of being a supervillain. He wanted someone to fight and kill again, which is why he decided to get his greatest nemesis, Wolverine, back. But Wolverine is the best at what he does, and he lunges into the old puny Banner, and he runs him through the stomach with his adamantium claws, which finally awakens the beast that is the Hulk. Now the size of a building, he grabs Wolverine and he bites into him. Hours later, another remaining Hulk relative walks back into Bruce Banner's lair, and he sees Hulk sitting and reveling at his greatest victory. He ate Wolverine, but Hulk is having stomach cramps, and suddenly, Wolverine bursts out of Hulk's body, presumably killing Bruce Banner, the Incredible Hulk finally. 1 month later, Logan is at the funeral of his family. He is there with the locals that knew him and his family, and they're all sorry for his loss. They all want to know, what is Logan going to do now? But he has nothing left. With his family dead, he is dressed up and ready to ride away from his old life. As he's ready to leave, one of them asks, "Are you really gonna bring law back to this country?" And he replies, "Why not? Got nothing better to do." While the task may seem impossible, Logan begins to ride off into the sunset with little baby Bruce Banner strapped to his back. This leads us to a gang having a poker game, talking about how the Hulks are dead and everyone is grabbing up their territories. One guy in a Daredevil mask says that he heard it was a single guy, and his friend in the Iron Man mask asks him, "What guy?" That's when Logan is standing in the doorway. "Might be this guy." And he cracks open a beer and takes a sip. The man in the Iron Man mask tells him that he has 3 seconds to get out of there. So Logan steps forward and pours the beer on the guy in the Daredevil mask's head. 2. The Iron Man guy stands up. "End him!" And Logan lunges forward, gutting the man. And then he guts every thug there. Blood, body parts, and bullets fly around the room until Logan is thrown out a window and onto the roof of a Jeep. He stands up screaming, and then he shows his claws to the only man left, the man in the Daredevil mask. "Take off that mask," he tells him. And the man does, and he begins to beg. "Please, I didn't do nothing." "You wear this uniform, and you don't even know who this is?" It's just cool." So Logan guts him with the rest, and he walks away. The people of the town walk over. "What are we supposed to do now?" "You're free, you're welcome." But the townspeople don't look too happy with him. "You can build something new. You can build something worth living for." He then calls for his horse. "I'm old enough to remember a time that hadn't gone to hell. It doesn't have to be like this. I'll be back, and if you haven't built something worth living for, I'll burn this place down and someone else will start over." He then rides off onto the dusty trail. As he's riding off, he comes across the head of an Ultron as it lands in front of him. He picks it up and he looks at it, and then he looks into the sky. Huh? Logan then goes home where the baby Hulk that he rescued from before is sitting comfortably, being raised by Danny Cage, the daughter of the real Luke Cage. Logan makes sure that she's okay and that baby Hulk is okay, and then he sets off on his mission to figure out where this Ultron head came from by going to a nearby town, known as a tourist attraction due to it being the final resting place of Thor's hammer before he fell. This place is where you can buy a Fantastic Four t-shirt or an Iron Man mask, and it's very popular. Except no one's here. Logan walks through curious as to where everyone is until he gets a whiff of Emma Frost. He walks in and she shows him Jean Grey and he tells her, "Emma, stop this. I'm not Scott. I don't like it when you mess with my mind." So she changes into a young Emma, one that Logan will recognize. "Stop, Emma. Show me the real you." "A girl has to keep some of her dignity, Logan," she tells him. Emma explains that when Logan killed the Hulks, He started a domino effect. The balance of the territory shifted and she ended up here. But the Punisher showed up and killed everyone. She tried to help, but she only made things worse and made them crazier. She lays down on the bed and tells Logan that she knows where the head came from and why he's here. She can read minds after all. But Logan should stop what he's doing. He can't save the world. That's Doom's job. He turns, looking at her oddly for that statement, and then he watches her illusion fade. She grows older, and he can see the bullet wound in her gut. She's dying. You had one hell of a run, Frost. Logan, I miss teaching. Yeah, me too. When I saw you walk in, I thought you were the angel of death, here to take me. And as her voice trails off, Logan gets up, and he walks to the wall. A mighty dividing wall that he doesn't even remember when it was built. It just showed up one day. He sticks his claws into it and he begins to climb. And once he reaches the top, he can see for miles and nothing looks right. What is this? He asks. That's when a Thor.
Yo, probably gonna see YB, bro. This crazy, bro. Like literally, I can't see that, bro. But we gonna get back to, but like, bro, everybody trying to see YB. Shit's too bright. I can't see that. God, dog, it's too bright. Everybody seeing YB, bro. It's like, damn. If I had that bread, man, I would have. Yeah, I would have probably got it. I probably would have went to go see YB myself. Shoot. Like at this point, yeah, screw it. At this point, man, screw it, bro.
Or from the Thor core floats in front of him. What you are doing is forbidden. What the hell are you supposed to be? And why are you dressed like a dead man? The Thor hits Logan with the full force of their lightning, and he falls off the wall and lands in the forest down below. He gets up, and as he heals, he runs into Sabretooth with a collar around his neck, claiming to be one of the Horsemen. The soldiers with Sabretooth begin to riddle Logan with bullets, but before they can continue their fight, there's a kathoom! As lightning hits the ground and Storm appears with the X-Men. They look at Logan in shock. How is it possible? It looks like his dad's dad! But before he can hear any more, he's shut down by Emma Frost. He wakes up in his own mindscape with Emma trying to figure out what's going on. He remembers her dying a few hours ago, and she remembers him being dead as well. How are they both here? But that's a question that they're both going to have to worry about later because Sabretooth and the Horsemen blow up the wall. Magneto turns to Wolverine. You brought this on us! And he throws him out into the streets, where he lands in front of Apocalypse! But the Thor finally returns and demands that Logan be returned to her. He is to be punished. The Thor throws down lightning and in the process injures the X-Men and Apocalypse's Horsemen. A fight ensues as the X-Men and Apocalypse's men all begin to fight it out, and Logan sneaks away from the battle to walk up a building, where he jumps on the Thor, slicing and dicing her. She screams at him, "You dare lay a hand on me!" and strikes him with lightning, throwing him far, far away, as she turns her attention to the X-Men and the Apocalypse battle. Logan has no idea where he's going, but it's far and beneath him that there is a city, and it's growing closer and closer until he hits the ground hard. He wakes up in a lab with Tony Stark and Rhodey next to him. Tony starts in with fast questions. Who are you? Where did you come from? How are your bones laced with adamantium, and how much for that metal? Logan asks him, where am I now? And then he looks out the window at multiple suits of armor flying around, and Tony tells him, Technopolis. Tony then looks at him. You're from over the wall, aren't you? Do you know my name? Logan looks at him. Tony Stark. Aha! I'm so famous they even know me from over Lord Doom's wall. Lord Doom? Rhodey steps forward. Do you have an issue with Lord Doom? That's when Logan sees Rhodey is holding a Thor hammer. Of course not, why would I? So Tony sits him down. Your body is fighting off the deadly tech virus in our atmosphere to a standstill. But how? Logan gets up and begins to walk out of the office. Thanks for the help, but I have to go. Rhodey stops him. I can't let you leave. You attacked a Thor and you left your domain without permission. Without permission. Problem is, old man, you've left your domain. That is forbidden. There's that word again. Logan then turns to Tony. You remember me? I'm sorry. That armor of yours remember me? No, I'm sorry. The X-Men? Who are the X-Men? Rhodey begins to charge up his hammer and Logan pops his claws. But he can't take the might of Thor's hammer as he's thrown back against a wall, unconscious again. He wakes up in the zombie territory, a land of punishment for people who have stood against Doom, where he's being eaten over and over again. He wonders if this is hell or a test from God, but he knows none of that is correct. His only reprieve from being eaten is when the zombies are distracted and they run off. But during one of those times, he runs into a cave where he meets Jennifer Walters, the She-Hulk. She doesn't know who he is, but once again, he remembers his version, and she explains that Almighty Doom has sentenced her here, and this is her punishment. Once again, Logan picks up on that weird terminology, Almighty Doom. He asks her why she hasn't just jumped out of here yet, and she tells her she can't do that, it's just too high up. So he asks her, can you throw me? Suddenly the zombies find them and the fight begins again with Logan slicing up as many of them as he can. Rage fills him as She-Hulk grabs him and begins to jump away. Higher and higher, and then she throws him out of zombie territory, telling him that if he sees any Hulks, be nice to them. And then he watches as the world is left behind again, and She-Hulk is taken by a flying zombie. Once again, he begins to fall farther and farther until he lands on the roof of a building. He gets up and he sees New York, the old New York from his past. Has he fallen through time this time, or is this another one of those weird worlds he seems to be traveling to? He looks around and he remembers where all of this began, with Ultron's head falling in front of him. Something is off about this entire world that he's in. She-Hulk keeps mentioning Almighty Doom, and he remembers the arguments with Rhodey and Iron Man, and Apocalypse just being there, and multiple people with Thor's hammers. None of this makes sense. Logan falls to his knees screaming, "Ah!" And then he sees the superhero battle going on above his head, and he ignores it. He climbs down off the building and grabs some clothes out of a bin, and then starts to walk through the streets, only to be stopped by Emma Frost again, another version, and a very young Jean Grey. You look old as dirt, Wolverine, but considering you were dead yesterday, I guess that's an improvement. He begins to smell them and he realizes this is them. Emma reads his mind and Jean joins her, and they both see everything that he's gone through and everything that has happened to him. So Emma asks him, Logan, can I hug you without you stabbing me? And they embrace. You don't need to be scared of me, Jeannie. I'm sorry, but I'm more scared of what's in your head. That can't be helped. Emma then decides she's going to give Logan what he deserves after all of this, a reunion. So they bring him to a room and they give him a meal while he gets to see all of his old friends alive and well again. The X-Men that he remembers, the time-displaced young X-Men, and even a few new faces. He has found the remnants of the real Marvel Universe from before Battleworld, before Doom took over, and they decide to give him one more thing. So they bring him to the home of the son of a Wolverine, his son from the Ultimate Universe, James Hudson. He asks Emma why she brought him here, and she explains he deserved to know that his legacy was living on somewhere. Tears began to roll down the old man's face. Good-looking boy. And he asks, you said a Wolverine. Where are we? We're working on that. There was some kind of accident, and we seem to be in two places at once, two dimensions poured over on top of each other. We just can't figure out how Doom is allowing this. So Emma and Wolverine enter his mindscape again as she explains that he needs to relax now. Time and space are broken and everything is wrong. But eventually, heroes will do something huge to correct this, to make time and space right again. She believes that when that happens, he'll be leading the charge through the front door. Because just maybe, all of his lifetimes were leading up to this moment. The universe was training him for the day that it would need him the most. So what happens after that, Emma? What happens after we rise up against God? I don't know. But maybe, after all of this, maybe we'll get a second chance. The only thing Logan can remember is a white light, and then waking up in Times Square. Except, Times Square should be gone. All of this, it's all dead. Wait, who is he? Scotty? No. As Logan tries to make sense out of what's going on, some officers begin to ask him if he's okay, and he lashes out at them, throwing a metal barricade at one of the officers and breaking the arm of the other. The first officer fires his taser, and then Logan tries to run at him, and the officer pulls out his gun, shooting him. Logan falls over, and as he picks himself up, he pulls out his claws and he remembers. Oh God, he remembers. The world isn't like this anymore. The villains finally got their act together and they took over. And the worst of them was Banner. He had a family. He was trying to be happy, but it really did just end all the same. Blood, death, and him, alone like an animal. Looking at his claws, Logan runs off to find a place to think because this is all different. So he finds an apartment to crash in and he looks at the paper dated 2015. This was before everything went bad. Somehow he's back. Before the wastelands, before his family. How the hell is that even possible? He begins to get dressed and he looks down at his hat, and he thinks how Scotty had a hat just like that. That was until one day when Black Busher took his hat while they were trading and smacked Scotty, knowing Logan wouldn't do anything. Logan wanted to do something, but he didn't, and he left. Then it happened. Except it hasn't happened yet, so maybe he was sent here to do something about it. Do what he does best. So Logan begins searching for him, asking all of the lowlifes until finally, a few days later, they give him the answer that he wanted. As the night begins to cover the city, Logan jumps through a window knowing that this is where the Black Butcher was. And as he lands, Logan is tased by a younger Butcher telling him that he doesn't know why he's looking for him, but he picked a fight with the wrong guy. Just as the Butcher raises his arm to tase Logan again, the Butcher's arm goes flying off. Logan grabs him and the Butcher says, "Is this about the robbery in Jersey? I didn't mean to hurt those people." And Logan tells him, "This isn't about that. You hit my boy." Butcher tries to say he doesn't even know his boy, but Logan holds his fist to his chin and then schnicked. As the Butcher's body falls to the ground, Logan knows why he is here. He's here to hunt. So he takes out a pen and holds his arm out, crossing the name Butcher. And next is Banner. Logan begins to remember back to one night when he could hear the screams of another farmer die at the hands of the Banner clan. Logan and his wife Maureen would go to the farmer's home the next day to see his body in pieces, and she tells him there's nothing they can do. Logan tells her that maybe there was something he could do, and Maureen tells him this isn't his fight. He has a family now. He's already fought his wars, so he should just go home before they hear him and come this way. Except Maureen was wrong. It was his fight. All he did was watch, and that was what got his family killed. So now that he is in the past, 2015, he's not sure how, but he's here, and it's time to set things right. He traveled through the sewers of Manhattan when he finds the Hulk helping with the traffic pileup. This isn't the first time that he's fought Banner, so he knows where to aim first. The legs. Logan crawls through the sewers and he runs past the Hulk, slashing at his ankles. Before getting too far, Hulk grabs Logan by the head and Logan slashes again at his hand, this time freeing himself. Hulk tells him that if he wants to fight, fine, but not here. There are too many people. And he punches Logan hard, sending him flying. He jumps after him, but before knocking him back to the ground, Logan thinks, this doesn't sound like Banner. For a second, doubt crosses Logan's mind, but then he remembers what his kids will do to Logan's kids, and he won't let that happen. He tries to jump back up to attack, but Hulk kicks him upwards through a building all the way to the top. Logan looks over at a crane coming from the roof and he thinks, new plan, distract him. With a quick slice, Logan cuts the crane arm to fall, and once Hulk catches it, he moves into attack. But before he can swing, Hulk grabs Logan's arm and crushes it, and then he slams him down, telling him, that's enough. But it isn't for Logan as he stands back up, and the Hulk tells him, okay, time out. You actually look kind of messed up. Logan begins to think again that this really doesn't sound like Banner, so he asks, and Hulk tells him, Banner? No, wrong guy. My name's Amadeus Cho, I'm the new Hulk. Amadeus says maybe he can help him, but Logan hears the cops coming and he runs off. As he looks at the streets, he thinks, Brooklyn. Amadeus punched me into Brooklyn, but that's good. I know someone here. He was the only friend that I had in the future. So all I have to do is sneak into his apartment and wait for him to return. In the apartment, a dog runs up to Logan and begins to lick him, so he asks where his daddy is. And then he looks up to see an arrow pointed right at him. He asks, Barton? Hawkeye? But the girl tells him, you're only half right. Logan looks up and he says he remembers. She's the other Hawkeye. This isn't Barton's place. She tells him her name is Kate Bishop, not other Hawkeye, but Clint's away on a mission. And now it's her turn to ask the questions, like why is he ancient looking and isn't he dead right now? Logan explains that he's from the future, which Kate doesn't find very surprising since the X-Men are always time traveling. But what she wants to know is what's with the list on his arm. He tells her that in a few years the bad guys will finally rise together and all of the heroes will die, and that's the world that he came from. But if he kills the people on his arm, the future doesn't happen. So Kate asks him, what about Clint? And he says that he was one of the ones that didn't die. A villain named Avalanche blinds him, and I always end up helping him, so... She tells him that can't be right, but Logan walks off stating, don't worry, my healing factor will kick in soon. Thanks for the hospitality. I'm just gonna be going on my... But before Logan can leave, he collapses. Slowly, Logan begins to wake back up and he sees that he's still in the apartment and he asks how long he's been out. Kate tells him about 33 hours, but after giving him a cup of coffee, she says, let's say that I believe you're from the future. Who else is on that list? Mysterio? I know where he is, so let's go. Logan tries to say that he works alone, but Kate tells him blah blah blah, the grim Wolverine hunts alone, and now I'm even more grim because I'm like 90 years old. Okay, so how about we just skip that part and we go off together? As the two of them travel through the city, Kate says that she needs to know something about the future. Who is the female Thor? She's dying to know. But Logan asks, who? And Kate tells him, you know, the female Thor. Isn't there one where you come from? And he tells her, no, but that doesn't matter. People change costumes and names all the time. I probably just missed it. Once the two of them reach the building that they're looking for, Kate tells him to hold on. First, he doesn't know about a female Thor. The thing about Avalanche, well, he's been dead. So maybe this isn't his past. Maybe Take some time. Logan pulls his claws out, stating that he's had nothing but time, and time's up. He kicks in the door and he begins sniffing around until he finds two men and asks, "Where's Mysterio?" The men say they don't know any Mysterio, but Logan tells them not to lie and he slices one of the man's hands off. Kate tells him to stop, firing an arrow next to his head, but Logan turns to her, telling her the one thing that she should know is that his healing factor works great against arrows. And then he turns towards Kate. With a quick slash, he rips through her bow, and Kate counters by hitting him in the chin and knocking him away. After regaining his balance, Logan grabs Kate by the neck and he slams her into the wall, and she asks, "What, you gonna kill me too?" And Logan tells her, "I'm trying to save everyone." And he begins to leave. Once outside, he begins to smell something, and he begins to climb up a ladder. And something hits his wrist, knocking him back down. A man tells him that he's gonna need to stand down, soldier. And as Logan looks up, the shield hits off the wall, bouncing back to the older Steve Rogers. And he tells him, "That's an order." Logan asks if it's really him, but then Steve asks, "Is it really you?" And Logan gets back up. Kate draws her bow, telling Steve to be careful. He's unstable. And Logan points at Steve, stating, "That's not you. Steve never went old like this." Steve tells him, "Take a breath. We'll figure it out." The claws pop out and Logan tells them, "You're not taking me anywhere." And a second later, the arrow releases and the shield cracks Logan in the face. Later, Logan wakes up to see Steve and Kate, but they're not in the city anymore. They're in Alberta. Steve says, "Yes, near your home." The X-Men thought it would be a fitting place for it. And Logan asks him, "What is it?" And Steve tells him what they're here to show him, but before he lets him free, he needs his word that he'll behave. Logan agrees, but as Steve starts to untie him, Logan asks if this is one of Mysterio's illusions. Are they really back in New York? Steve tells him to wait, but then the claws come out and Logan begins to fight with Steve and Kate. Logan cuts through Kate's bow, and she tells him that that was the second bow that he trashed. The fighting continues with Steve beating down on Logan with the shield until finally he stops moving. Through his heavy breathing, Logan tells him, "You have to stop it. I'm from the future where everyone's dead. You, the X-Men, everyone. I have to stop it from happening." Steve walks off telling him, "You need to see something." The three of them walk into a cabin that's close by, and Steve explains that one of his X-Men, Forge, designed this place to let him rest in peace. As the elevator comes down, Logan sees the figure of him, and Steve says that that is him, encased in adamantium. He died. This isn't his past. Their Wolverine is dead. Well, Logan walks over to the figure and asks, "This is really him, isn't it?" And Steve tells him, "Yes, he died. So how is it you got here?" As Logan tries to remember, he tells him, "I don't know. All that I remember is my family, the wastelands, and then a flash." Steve asks him, "Family?" And Logan tells him, "Yeah, I lost my family to the Banner clan." And Steve follows up, "Banner? Lord, what kind of nightmare did you come from?" As he stands there, Logan tells him, "The worst kind. I've seen enough." And he begins to leave. Steve tells him that he wants to help, but Logan tells him that if he wants to help, just let him go. Ain't no place for him here, and Wolverine is dead. Let him stay that way. So Logan did what he's good at, and he drifted around. This wasn't his past. So much is the same, but so much is different. There's nothing for him to fight here, so he will just become a ghost. But with all of that time, he still can't shake the feeling that he's just biding time. But for what? And then he found it. Logan sniffs the air and the claws come out, and a sentinel drops in. He leaps towards it, but the sentinel tells him, "Please wait, don't hurt me." As a claw stabs into his chest, Logan asks, "Not hurt you? What is this?" Then Logan hears someone. It's Storm and Iceman, as she asks if it's really him. And Logan stops and thinks how the past is gone, and tomorrow may well bring the hell that he fears. But today it feels damned good to be alive. After spending some time with Storm and the other X-Men, Logan decided that it would be best to have a little leave of absence from the team, so he can go take care of a few things. Storm hands him a communicator, and Logan says that he needs to do this on his own. But Storm tells him actually it's more if they need him. He says he's getting used to the whole team thing again, but he'll be back. Once he got out of Limbo, which is where the X-Men mansion was located, Logan traveled north all the way up to the Killhorn Falls in Alaska, where he finds a small community built around a gravel quarry. The town has an ice road that allows access for only 3 months out of the entire year, and he arrived just as the road went out for the entire season. So this is where Logan will be staying for a while. Even though he's never been here before, it feels like he has, and as he walks around, he begins to remember. Back then, when he was tricked into killing the other X-Men, all he wanted to do was pay the price for killing his friends, and he would soon find a place just like this. Even though Logan tried his best to kill Wolverine, the healing factor had other plans. But from that day, Wolverine was buried forever. forever. He couldn't kill himself, but he could kill the man that he was. But as time would pass in Killhorn Falls, Logan found himself a job and he began to blend into the community. That's what he came here for. And one night after leaving work, he sees the dog whimper and he decides to give it something to eat. However, a voice behind him says that he shouldn't feed the strays. Mommy says that they will just keep coming back. Logan asks the little girl if that's how her mama got stuck with her, and the little girl sticks out her tongue. The girl begins to pet the dog and Logan says that it seems like he likes her, and the girl tells him because she feeds him too. Looking down at the little girl, she asks what his name is, and he tells her James. And then he asks her what is her name, and she says Maureen, and Logan thinks, yeah, that's exactly where he needs to be. Later that night, Logan sits out in front of his shack thinking about how this may not be his past. He may never have met Maureen the way he did before, but this time, he can let her grow up safe. As the dog walks off, it's soon killed. And a voice begins to ask, can Logan really be back? And another voice says, there's only one way to find out. And that's when Deathstrike says, it's time to go hunting. The next morning, Logan is woken up by a knock on his door from Maureen and her mother asking if he's seen the dog Burger anywhere. Logan tells her that he hasn't seen him, and Maureen asks, what if Burger's hurt or even eaten by a bear? Maureen's mother, Trish, says that they can look for him after school, but Logan says that she should listen to her mother. He'll go looking for the dog. If there's one thing he's good at, it's finding burgers. The two say thank you to Logan before leaving, but around the corner there's someone watching. Logan heads out, and it doesn't take him long to find the dog's scent. And the scent is also something he's a little too familiar with. As he finds Burger, he sees the cuts on him were clean, like a sharp, clean blade. And then he smells something else in the air. He begins smelling machine oil and gasoline, and then he finds a helicopter. But before he can check it out, he begins to hear gunfire. He runs back into the town, but it's already too late. There are bodies lying around everywhere, and thankfully, none of them are Maureen. The gunfire suddenly stops and things get quiet. Too quiet. And then an explosion goes off behind Logan, knocking him away. When he looks back, he sees Bonebreaker, one of the Reavers, and the Reavers never travel alone. Bonebreaker begins to spin his Gatling gun again, and he begins to spray bullets down on Logan. But as he walks through shielding himself, he then gets close enough to cut through the gun. However, before Logan can swing at Bonebreaker, a cannon comes out of his chest, shooting Logan and blasting him away. Bonebreaker says, you know what the best part about having tank treads for legs is? Rolling over someone else's legs. Logan screams out in pain as the small tank begins to crush his legs, and when Bonebreaker parks on top of him, he asks if he's even alive under there. Claws begin to stab up through the tank body, and Logan comes ripping through it, throwing the upper part of Bonebreaker's body to the ground. Logan then walks over asking, do you know the best part about having knives in your fist? This. Logan pops his claws out, stabbing through Bonebreaker's neck and out of the back of his head. One of the officers comes over to see what's going on, and Logan tells him that he's gonna need his help. He's gonna need him to get all of the remaining people in town down into the quarry while he checks on something. He runs back over to his shack to grab the communicator that Storm gave him, and he finds that his shack is already destroyed and on fire. A little while later, as people gather in the quarry, Logan meets back up with them, and Trish says that the kids aren't here. They're in school and in the church basement. Logan rushes back over to the church, and just as the door opens, a Reaver starts to walk in, and Logan appears behind him. The Reaver's body is then pulled back outside, and then Logan goes back inside, telling them that they need to move. Maureen hugs Logan, and he tells her that she needs to help him right now. She needs to take all of the kids over to the quarry at this moment. Once the kids begin to leave, Logan picks up another scent, and then his claws pop out. One Reaver says, it's over, Wolverine, and another one grabs a child, telling him to just give up. Everyone in this town is going to die. Logan steps forward, and he tells the Reaver that he would like to make a counter proposal. Let the kid go, and I might let you keep your legs. Before he can answer, though, Logan punches through the Reaver's head and then shouts for Maureen to take the others and run. The other Reaver stabs Logan in the back, and then after slashing back and breaking the spine, Logan takes it and stabs him with it. He then asks, why are you doing this? And the Reaver begins to tell him that they just wanted to lure him out with the dog, but she got other ideas. Logan asks who, and the Reaver tells him, Lady Deathstrike. And as he finishes saying her name, his head flies off in the air. Logan heads back down to the quarry, but he knows he's already going to be too late, and as he walks up, he sees Deathstrike holding Maureen and Trish hostage. Deathstrike says that she heard he came back, but he cheated. He was supposed to be dead for real this time, but here he is, older, so she has a proposition. She will let one of these two go, and he gets to choose who. Logan tells her not to do this, Yuriko, and Trish says, just promise her that he'll take care of Maureen, alright? Just promise her. Logan says, I promise. And then Deathstrike tosses Maureen to the side, and Logan asks if he got the shot. Deathstrike asks, what? and then a bullet flies through Deathstrike's back as she drops Trish. Behind her, the officer from before says, "Yeah, I got the shot." Logan tells him, "Get Trish out of here. I want to handle this one alone." And Deathstrike asks if he thinks that she's the only one coming for him. "Do you think this will ever stop, Logan?" He starts to make a fist and he tells her, "Well, you got me now." And a claw pops out and Logan begins running towards her. Deathstrike jumps into the air as Logan goes in swinging and kicks him in the face. And then before he can get back up, she slashes away part of his face. Logan tries to get back up, but Deathstrike punches tearing through his stomach and out his back. And the officer tries to tell her to stop. With Logan beaten down, she then turns her attention towards the officer. She then raises her arms to kill him, but Logan gets back up and he runs forward, cutting off both of Deathstrike's arms. And then he punches her in the back and he rips his claws out. The only thing that he can remember is the sound of Deathstrike dragging herself over the gravel and the snow beginning to fall on them. And then nothing. A little while later, Logan wakes back up and sees the officer sitting next to him. He asks if Maureen and Trish are safe, and the officer tells him yes, but the little girl keeps asking about him. Logan tells him to stay with them until help arrives. He can't see them again, and tell her that he's sorry for everything. Logan leaves and he takes the dead Reavers' bodies and he begins to burn them. And then he watches the fire because he knows that Deathstrike is out there and dozens like her. And he's done waiting for them to bring chaos. He will be the one to bring chaos and he will be coming for them. Once the bodies are burned, Logan returned to Limbo where X-Haven was, and he can't help but think that tonight could be the night and that they're not ready. He's let his guard down. He then hears a voice in his head telling him that no, he hasn't. It's not going to happen tonight. And then he looks up to see Jean. He says that it happened on a night just like this, and she tells him that it's not going to happen. During his time, the Xavier Mansion was still on Earth, not in Limbo. Magneto wasn't fighting with the X-Men, and Thor was still a dude. But if he still has doubts that this isn't his time period, that he's going to be tricked into killing everyone, then they're going to take a little road trip together. She just wants to get her costume on. Back in Manhattan, some of the last heroes made their final stand against the villains. People died. But now, there's nothing. People are living just fine. Jean tells him that it's 1:30 in the morning, no mass villain attack, no nothing. And Logan tells her, "Okay, you proved your point." And she tells him, "We're not done." After New York, where else did things happen? So they teleport over to where Hank Pym made his final stand and died in that alternate timeline. But again, nothing happened. And then Jean decides they have one more stop, and she teleports them again to upstate New York where the mansion was, where Logan killed everyone in his timeline. Jean tells him that it's going to be okay. And also, she lied. She has one more place to go. This time, they teleport over to Madripoor, and Logan asks what they're looking at now. And Jean tells him that she knows that he's been on edge lately, as this was the day that everything happened in his time. But instead of being alone, she brought some company. They walk into the building, and Logan sees Steve, Clint, Jubilee, and even Puck. Logan asks Steve if everything is good, and he tells him always. Moments later, everyone begins to celebrate being together, and Logan looks at Jean and tells her that this better be a soda. And she tells him to stop being a party pooper, old man. As the night goes on, Logan steps out onto the pier as the sun rises. And a short while later, Jean comes out telling him that he needs to stop sneaking off like that. But the sun's up, and they made it through another night. Logan tells her, "Yeah, we made it through. But as I'm sitting here, I've been thinking about you a lot, and this time, in my world, you weren't around. You were already dead. You've always kept me in line, no matter how much things have changed. You've always seen the light in the dark. You remind me of my daughter. You always see the best in everyone." Jean tells him that she thinks he's getting soft. But does he really think it's going to happen? And Logan tells her, "No idea. But I think you finally got me to see that if it does, I won't have to face it alone." With Deathstrike still on the loose, Logan heads over to Tokyo to meet with a contact known as Ito, hoping that they know where to find her. As the two sit at a bar, Logan asks if Ito has any information, and Ito tells him sure, but where's the money? Logan slides an envelope stating that all 1 million yen is there. Ito takes it and slides over a paper with the intel. He also says that he's done some digging himself and he found that there still appears to be a bounty on Logan, 3 million yen to be exact. As Logan opens up the paper, he sees the word boom and he quickly realizes things are not about to go too well. Before he can even stand up, Logan is shot over and over until his body falls down onto the table. Logan thinks how he knew he couldn't trust Ito, and unfortunately for Ito and his crew, they don't know everything about Logan. Logan gets up, throwing the table at the gunman, and he jumps over to Ito, popping his claws. Within seconds, all of the gunmen are cut down and killed. Ito tries to escape, but before he can even get out the door, Logan grabs him, telling him that he has until the count of 3 to tell him what he wants to know. A little while later, Logan takes a boat out to a village where Ito said that Deathstrike was, but the strange thing is, he doesn't smell anyone. After a bit of searching, Logan finally picks up on her scent, machine oil and blood. The trail takes Logan to an abandoned shack at the edge of the village, and he pops his claws ready to kill. As the door opens to the shack, Logan hears Deathstrike asking him if it's him. He tells her to come out so he can see her, and she says that she can't. He's gotta help her. He looks over to see that Deathstrike is bound and chained up with cuts all over her body. Though this isn't the first time that Logan has been to Japan, he's reminded of the time that him and Maureen escaped the wastelands here. Back then, they had other troubles to worry about. The Silent Order. Logan runs over to Deathstrike telling her that this better not be some kind of trick, and she tells him that he shouldn't have come here. It's exactly what they wanted. Logan asks who, and then he feels an arrow go through his arm, and then several more shooting into his back. As his body falls to the ground, he begins to feel his healing factor working, but the arrows, they were poisoned and they're slowing it down. A foot then steps on his head, and the voice tells him that he has no idea how long they've waited. He now belongs to the Silent Order. A little while later, Logan finds himself in a hole and the voice of Maureen telling him to get up. Logan says this can't be real. That can't be you. Maureen was left in the wastelands at a different time, a different place. Before Old Man Logan found himself in this world, Maureen was his wife before she was murdered. Maureen tells him of course not, he's still in Japan and right now he needs to wake up, but be warned, it's really going to hurt. Logan opens his eyes to see the arrows from before still stuck in him, and then he sees the sunlight atop. He begins to pull the arrows out and he claws his way out of the hole. And as he begins to get higher and higher, the voice from before tells him that that was pretty impressive, but futile. The man pulls back at his bow and he fires another arrow into Logan's chest, knocking him back down to the bottom of the well. He then says that he's been trying to kill him for days now, but even with him being resilient, they will find a way. Logan looks at the man and tells him, that's where you're wrong. I already know everything about you. Your name is Sohee of the Silent Order, and I've already killed you once before. Back then, when he and Maureen were surrounded by the Silent Order, they attacked him. One of the men said that his name was General Sohee. Logan tried to tell those people from before that they were passing by, but back then, Sohee stabbed Logan in the throat, except Logan didn't die. Back in the current day, Logan goes on stating that he knows a lot of things. Like, when Sohee killed him before, he was a bit younger. Sohee tells him that they've been after him for quite some time. Using Deathstrike as bait would surely draw him out without the aid of the other X-Men. Logan calls out that he's sorry to break it to him, but he's killed him before. He has no problem killing Sohee again. Logan pops his claws and he begins to climb again, and as he does, Sohee fires more and more arrows into him. After finally clawing his way out, Sohee asks if he's had enough, and Logan tells him, not even close. Deathstrike's voice shouts, it's no use, you can't beat them, and Logan pulls an arrow out of himself, telling her, yeah, I'm gonna see about that. It's just gonna be me and Sohee. Sohee laughs, telling him that won't be the case. Unlike you, we are the Silent Order. When you fight one, you fight all of us. Logan charges, jumping into the crowd of men, cutting away who he can, but as the fight goes on, Logan knows that even he can't outlast them like this. So that means, like it or not, he's going to have to team up with someone who wants to kill him. Logan cuts down the post holding up Deathstrike's cage as she steps out, stating that she's not sure if she should thank him or just kill him right now. The two stand back to back and Logan says that she can kill him if she wants to, but they have to get out of here first. You see, back in the past, in the other world, the Wastelands, the fight didn't exactly go like this. So he captured Logan and his wife Maureen of the time, and he had taken them to their leader. Logan told Maureen that he was really sorry for what she's about to see, and the leader sees Logan staring at some of the collections on the wall and tells him that his trophies are really something else. Though Japan didn't have very many supervillains, they all fell before the Silent Order. But right now it's about him. How about they take a look inside to see what the real him is like, shall they? As the leader places his hands on Logan's head, he begins to see Logan's life, all of the death and destruction that's around him. He then steps back, asking Sohee what he has done. He has brought a monster to them. Logan stands up, popping his claws, telling Maureen, I'm sorry, but you're gonna want to close your eyes. Back in the current times between Logan and Deathstrike, the two cut down most of the Silent Order, but Sohee tells them that it's not enough.
Come on.
Deathstrike tells him no.
One more second. One more second. Hold on. Come on. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. Oh! Yes, sir. I'm 29. Yes, girl. Let's go, bruh. Let's go, nigga. Let's go, bruh. I'm 20 now, bruh. 19, you gone. You gone, bruh. Yeah, let's go, bruh. Let's go. Hold on, bruh. Hold on, y'all.
They used her as bait, so now she's gonna kill him. So he pulls out his sword and in a flash tells her that now their story is finished with her. Logan tells him to leave her alone. He's already killed him before and he's happy to do it again. Logan then charges with his claws out, but Sohee catches his fist, telling him, "You claim to know me, but I too know all about you." Through their struggle, Logan headbutts Sohee to push him back, but Sohee just returns the kick to the stomach, knocking him away. As the two fight, the fight doesn't quite play out as it once did before. This time, instead of Logan standing over Sohee's body, it's Sohee standing over his. But before Sohee can deliver the final blow, Logan kicks him, knocking him over the ledge. But rather than falling, his body stops and floats, and Logan begins to float as well. The voice of a young boy tells Logan to stop hurting his friends. Logan tells the boy that the way he's looking at it, those guys are not his friends. They just want to use him. And he goes on stating that he can help with his powers. There are others like him, so please stop this. The boy screams no. He knows who he is. He has seen the day of his death brought on by him. Logan's body is slammed into the ground, and the boy says that the day his power manifested, he had a vision. It was his future, where Wolverine killed Sohee and himself. But the killing didn't stop there. He began killing everyone in the Silent Order, those who tried to protect him, but no matter what, he just kept coming like a monster. Logan slowly stands up, stating that he isn't here to kill the boy. That future is not going to happen. That's why he came back here, to change that. Right now, their future is unwritten. Both of their futures. The boy shouts, "Liar," and Sohee tells him to step back, but the boy begins to lift up both Logan and Sohee again, stating that he's tired of being told what to do. They all just fail him. He then holds Logan up and shoots him down into the well where Deathstrike fell. Lifting up Logan again, he continues to slam him down harder and harder each time, asking why he won't just die. Deathstrike says that she asked herself that many times before, and over again, the boy just keeps lifting and dropping Logan. There are plenty of times that Logan wished he could have died, like back when Maureen watched him slaughter the Silent Order of their time. One of these days, he's going to die, but that day isn't today. Deathstrike grabs one of the stray arrows and throws it up into the well into the boy's leg, causing him to fall down. So he runs.
You scared me. Mom must be here.
Runs over to catch him, but his grasp misses. He looks down and he sees Logan holding the boy with his claws ready to pop out, telling him, "Playtime's over." He then shouts at them to send a rope down, and so he says that not even the Wolverine will kill a defenseless boy. Deathstrike says maybe so, but she sure as hell would. So he tells the others to grab the rope. While Sohee and the rest grab it, Deathstrike tells Logan that he owes her if they get out of here. And Logan tells her that if they get out of here, he's gonna make her a damned X-Men. But as the two of them go on, the boy's eyes begin to get wide. And then there's a massive explosion, throwing both Logan and Deathstrike out. As they watch, they see the boy coming out as his body begins to transform. With a bright pink flash, the boy's body grows into a giant creature, and he starts to shout, "You won't kill me!" Logan runs up telling him to hang on. He knows that he's scared right now, but the boy tells him no. He isn't scared of anything. So he shouts that is enough, but the boy tells him to wait, and several spears shoot into Logan's stomach. He begins to think to himself that this is where his future finally catches up to him. Breaking all of the spears, he tears through the Silent Order, and he punches upwards, cutting away at Sohee's chest and face. He looks back, telling the boy that the last time he saw his boy, he was about the same age as him. He would give anything to give his son another chance, but this world is hard enough as it is. So no, he isn't going to kill him, and if he stays with Sohee, it's only a matter of time before someone does. The boy breaks out of the giant body and places his hand on Logan's head, and he looks. Everything that Logan has been through, everything that he has fought for, everything that he has lost. The boy leans back, stating that he lost them all, but he's here now. How could that be? Logan tells him that he barely understands his situation himself, but he's living with it. And right now, he's got a choice. He can stay with Sohee and let them decide his future, or he can choose his own way. Sohee shouts that he can't. The Silent Order will rise, and he is the one to lead them. But as Sohee goes on, the boy tells him to just stop. He doesn't want to do this anymore. He just wants to be a boy. He then begins to destroy everyone around him, pushing back the Silent Order. Logan asks, "Did you?" And the boy says no. They're not dead. There's already been so much of that. The boy then asks what happens now, and Logan tells him, "I'll put a call into S.H.I.E.L.D. They'll pick up Sohee and the others. But you can come with me and leave all of this behind." The boy then asks if there are other children like him, children who are different. And Logan holds out his arms, telling him, "Yeah, I know a whole mansion of them. You're gonna love it there."
Big check. So I'm saying, say what's up to Bucky. Hey, say what's up to Bucky. Yeah, that's this little mutt right here. He got a little dot. He got a little thing around his. Yeah. You see that? Y'all see this? Y'all see this thing here. Say hello to Bucky. Yeah. 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 You good. Thank you. You good. You good. Hey, and it been an hour
With
yet,
everything that
bro.
Logan has recently been through, he figured now would be the best time to sit back and finally enjoy a drink in peace. Except as he takes a sip from his drink, Cerebra shows up telling him that he has come to inform him that a notable mutant has gone missing. At first, Logan tells him that he can go get one of the others to find this mutant. He's currently off duty. But Cerebra tells him that the mutant who's missing is Jubilee, and his eyes widen. He starts by heading over to Jubilee's home in Brooklyn, but rather than finding any clues on her disappearance, Logan finds Jubilee's son, Shogo, playing all alone. Logan takes Shogo to Cerebra and tells him that he's going to have to watch the baby while he goes out to find Jubilee. Cerebra tells him that he's not really programmed to monitor and watch over an infant, and Logan says that he's got to improvise this time. Logan then asks where was Jubilee's last known location, because that's where he's going to be sending him. Cerebra says the last known location was Romania, but maybe they should drop the infant off with the other X-Men before they can go? Logan tells him no, he's going solo in this, and if he's ready, go ahead and teleport him to Romania before he melts him down into a new motorcycle. Just as the pink light begins to shine, Cerebra tells him that there is no need for such threats. In a flash, Logan is teleported into the woods of Romania to begin his search, but not long after walking a few feet, Logan can begin to feel that there's something wrong with this place, and that's when he finds blood on the ground. He checks it and he can see that it's not Jubilee's blood, nor is it even human. But then, he begins to hear a twig snap and a giant hand reaches out grabbing him by the face. Man-Thing slams Logan to the ground and he picks him back up and sets him on fire. Logan claws his way free, and that's when he hears a scream as a monkey jumps on his back. Logan grabs the monkey and throws him off, and then a wolfman runs in, slashing at Logan's back. He turns back to attack the wolfman, and the wolfman tells him, whoa, 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 time out. He then calls out for the Howling Commandos to hold. This man is that old Wolverine guy. Logan tells them that the only reason they're not dismembered yet is because they're wearing SHIELD uniforms, so they better start talking and keep the damn monkey away from him while they're at it. The Wolfman says that his name is Warwolf, and they're the Howling Commandos, an elite paranormal division called Stake. Logan stares at him and says, "You've gotta be effing kidding me." And Amphibian asks which part. Warwolf explains that his group is looking for their teammate, Vampire by Night. They just happened to assume that he was one of the hostiles, so sorry about that. Currently, they're at war with Dracula and his vampires. It goes on to state that he's been doing some recon, and as of late, all sorts of vampires have been coming to this place. Amphibian then asks why he's here, and Logan tells them because his friend is a vampire, and her name is Jubilee. She must be under Dracula's control right now. Logan then begins to walk off, telling them that this is enough chit-chat. It's time for them to get their friends back. Moments later, the Howling Commandos begin their assault in front of the castle, while Logan makes his way through the sewers. And as he gets out, he sees Jubilee, and she shouts that he's gotta save her. Logan tells her that it's going to be okay, he'll get her out of there. But then when he goes to check on her, Jubilee says, "He's here to save me. Just as you said, Master." A voice then asks Logan if he really thought he could surprise him. Before Logan has a chance to react, Dracula grabs him and bites down at his neck. After letting go, Logan turns around and tries slashing at Dracula, but he slams him into the wall, asking how long will that healing factor go to keep the infection out. As Logan's body falls to the ground, he looks at Jubilee and tells her that this isn't her. He knows that she can hear him. Think of her son, Shogo. Jubilee punches him, telling him to shut up, and Dracula laughs as he goes back to beating on Logan. After slamming him around a little bit more, he then picks up Logan's body and tells him that he's going to try and fight off the infection, but it's taking everything that he has, isn't it? A short while later, Vampire by Night leads the other Howling Commandos, and Jubilee says that the rest of their intruders have been captured. Dracula tells them that this is most excellent. They all deserve a reward for their work, so bring them all to the throne room so that they may feast. But not long after that, Logan begins to wake up chained to a wall along with the other Howling Commandos. While Dracula taunts them, Jubilee tries to fight back against Dracula's control over her, and Logan shouts that she can do it. She doesn't belong here. Think of Shogo! She walks over to Logan, but Vampire by Night kicks her, telling her that that is enough. Logan then calls back.
Okay. Guys, I'm be great. Help me. Think I'm ever finish this. I think I'm ever finish this. Lord have mercy. Like, ooh.
Out to her, stating that she can do it, and then there's a loud thumping sound that's getting louder and louder, and Vampire by Night asks if there are any more mutants, and Werewolf tells her nah. He may have called a little backup though, except he's not really little. Dracula shouts who dares, and Orgar rips the roof off and tells him that he dares. It looks like the commandos have gotten themselves into a fine mess yet again. Man-Thing jumps in and begins freeing everyone from their chains, but as he does, Dracula grabs a hold of Jubilee. He tells Logan that if he can't hurt him, he's gonna have to kill the girl. Jubilee smiles and throws Dracula off of her, shouting for Logan to catch. As he gets closer, Logan pops his claws, tearing into Dracula's stomach, telling Jubilee, "That's my girl." Dracula swings back, telling Logan that he has all the time in the world. He will rise again. And Orgo tells him it's time for him to help. And he grabs Dracula and holds him into the sunlight. As Dracula weakens, Logan tells him that he's had this coming for a long time, and he cuts off Dracula's head. Vampire by Night then runs over, telling Werewolf that she didn't know what had come over her. She's so sorry. Logan looks back at Jubilee and says that it's been one hell of a day. They should probably go home. She grabs Dracula's head and tells him, yeah, they should. But what should they do with this? Logan laughs. Haha, I got a few ideas. Then he calls Cerebra. Seconds later, Cerebra teleports to the sun and releases Dracula's head there to fall in. A short while later, as Logan and Jubilee sit in her apartment, Cerebra tells Logan that it is done. And Logan tells him that he knew that he would make a fine garbage disposal. And Jubilee tells him to be nice. Logan says that he can't, he's got a reputation to uphold. And Jubilee goes on stating that it's too late. Shogo likes him, and he can tell that he's just a big softie. Logan tells him not to believe it. He's tough as nails, just ask Dracula. So Shogo flings his food at Logan, and he shouts, Dracula! Jubilee smiles, stating that she thinks someone's just happy to have their mama back. As Logan pulls the food off of his face, he says that he isn't the only one. There was a time when he thought that he would never see her again, and Jubilee laughs, telling Shogo, see, told you he's a big softie. As the sun beats down on Logan, he begins to open his eyes, and he sees that he's back in the same place where he came from, the Wastelands. But no longer does he try to figure out why he's back here. A giant Tyrannosaurus bites down on him, swallowing Logan up in one gulp. But as Logan slides down the belly of the beast, the claws pop out, and he rips his way out, falling in a pool of blood. He grabs his hat slowly, dusting off his coat, thinking, how did I get here? I was just given a second chance to be a hero, but instead I'm back in the Wastelands. He tells himself to think, just think. What was the last thing that he can remember? Puck? A puck like in hockey? No, Puck, as an Alpha Flight Puck. He called for help. He was in space. Puck was in an orbiting space station that Reed Richard used, and there had been nobody in it for years. That was when he got on. He could smell it. He could smell the brood. What if he wasn't in space? Maybe that wasn't real. Maybe he's been in the Wastelands the whole time. All he knows now is that he was headed to Las Vegas to see Danielle Cage, who was taking care of Banner's grandson. Logan begins to travel the barren wastelands to Danielle's home, but things are too quiet. As Logan checks around the house, he finds blood, and he thinks, what is that baby doing? Logan forces himself to look in the crib, and he sees nothing. Suddenly, there's a loud thud hitting the closet door, and the claws come out. Logan pulls the door back, ready to hit, and then he sees Danielle tied up. He pulls the tape from her mouth, and she shouts that it was Kang. Kang was here, and he took the baby. Logan thinks to himself, asking, did Kang really do this? Is that how I got here? What about that time when I was in space? I was fighting off the brood, trying to free those who were infected by them. That's when Sasquatch attacked, driven mad by the infection. And then there was Abigail, also infected. Just before I was about to become a part of them, that's when Puck called out to me. But none of that matters right now. Right now, I'm back on Earth, and I need to find Banner's grandchild. If you're curious about this grandchild situation, watch the original Old Man Logan storyline. We have it here on the channel. When that story ends, he has Banner's grandchild, but when the new run started, suddenly that child was missing. Maybe it's time for us to resolve that. Logan heads off and he gets a chill, one that runs down his spine, a cold sensation that he's never felt before. He blinks and he goes from being on Earth to back in space. Puck goes on telling him how him and the other Alpha Flight members came here because of reports of something crashing into the space station. But as far as he can tell now, it was the brood who came aboard, and just as they got here, the brood took over Sasquatch and Abigail. However, before Puck could go on, the alarm sounds and the hatch doors begin to open. Logan begins to remember why he was so cold. He was sucked out into the empty space, and his helmet was cracked. Logan's vision fades and he begins to feel like he's falling. Nothing to reach or grab onto, nothing to stop the descent. And a few seconds later, Logan gasps as he pulls himself out of the lake that he just fell into. He looks around trying to understand what just happened. He was in space and, in a blink of an eye, he finds himself back in the spacecraft. He checks around again and he sees that he is there. And Puck says that he's been out for about 15 hours. As much as he'd like for them to go home, they have to get back onto the space station. They need to stop the infectious spread and get Sasquatch and Abigail back before they can leave. As the two begin to fly and crawl back into the space station, Logan begins to think that he should be back on Earth, looking for Banner's grandson. Logan blinks, and he sees himself back on Earth, making his way to Kang's strongholds. He remembers Puck telling him to go back. He just doesn't understand at all. He looks at a pile of dead bodies that were his friends, and Puck says that it was the Warlord of the Wastes. Logan shouts, asking, "What's happening? How is this happening? Everyone should be dead, and where the hell is Kang?" A voice cuts through the silence telling Logan that he is here. But before Logan can attack Kang reaches out, touching Logan's forehead, telling him the question that he should be asking himself is, where is he? Bits and pieces of information flood into Logan's mind. He's here on Earth, but he's also up in the space station fighting the Brood. Logan snaps himself back to reality, grabbing Kang, asking, "What have you done? Where's the baby?" Kang tells him that he did take the baby, yes, but he was trying to stop the Warlord from rising. The one true Warlord will rise, and he will rule the wastelands. But before Logan can ask, Logan sees a giant Hulk walking forward. Kang shouts that Banner's grandchild is the Warlord. The Warlord looks down at Logan, telling him, "You left me all alone, and because of that, the wastelands gave birth to me, shaped me into what you see now." The Warlord grabs Logan by the throat and he slams him into the ground, shouting, "I am the Wastelands!" Logan hits the ground and he sees this reality shatter. And then he hears Puck stating that they were alone, and there was another ship that came to help. It came from X-Haven. She came to help him, but now she is the one doing this. Logan asks, who is doing this? As his memories begin to piece themselves back together, he sees her, Jean. Logan calls out to Jean, but with the infection inside of her, she doesn't answer. And the Brood begins to pull Logan away. He tries to fight them off, and then his vision begins to change again. First he's in space, then the wastelands, then back in space, and so on. And just as the Brood reach down to grab him, Logan can hear a voice calling out for help. He can hear Jean's voice calling for help. Logan picks himself up and he begins running towards that voice. And as soon as he opens the door, he sees all of the X-Men's bodies dead and lifeless. A hand reaches up from the pile, and as the dead bodies start to come back to life, they begin to swarm onto Logan, and he shouts at them, please, don't let me hurt you like this again. Logan closes his eyes, and then the feeling of him being pulled apart fades, and he opens his eyes to see the wastelands. He can hear something through the wind. He can hear something crying. He follows the sound and he sees a basket, and inside of that basket is Banner's grandson. Logan reaches down, telling the baby that it's okay. He's got him. But as the baby's hand reaches up, it begins to grow and it grabs onto Logan's face. He sees the Warlord towering over him, telling him not to feel guilty for leaving him. He's glad the world forged him so. It's what he was destined to do. Logan sees the Warlord sitting on his throne and he shouts, I didn't mean to leave you. The Warlord tells him, there is nothing to fear. I became the king of this world, and now all bow to me. If you had raised me, I would have grown up weak and vulnerable, just like your own son. And look what happened. They're all dead. Logan looks around, seeing himself laying in a pool of blood, and his daughter Janie asking why didn't he save them. Logan tells himself no matter how painful it is, this isn't real. The real him is on the space station looking for Jean, and now he knows what he has to do. He pops a single claw, telling Jean to hold still. He's only got one shot at this, because if he misses, then she'll die. Jean tries to stop Logan, and Logan shuts his mind down, and he swings! The single claw scrapes across the back of Jean's neck, slicing the parasite that's latched onto her head. He quickly catches Jean before she can fall, telling her, it's okay. Puck calls out, telling him, no, we're not okay. There are too many of them and we can't hold them back. And as the Brood begin to cover Logan and Puck, Jean stressfully says that she can handle this, since they all share one mind, one big, cold, disgusting mind. Jean mutters the word sleep, and in an instant, the Brood stop attacking, and they fall asleep. As the three get back up, Jean tells Logan that she's so sorry, and Logan tells her that it wasn't her fault. Besides, it's all over now. When Logan looks back at everyone, Jean looks at Iceman and says that he's going to be real pissed. And Logan says that he's not cleaning up this mess, calling the experts. A short while later, Beast and the rest of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents arrive, and Logan sits alone thinking that there is something that he still needs to do. As Jean walks up, Logan asks if everything's better, and she tells him, yeah, just a killer headache she wanted to apologize again for. And Logan stops her, telling her it's fine. In fact, he's actually glad this whole thing happened. Jean asks how exactly is this a good thing, and Logan tells her because it made him remember something. Some way, somehow, he's gonna save him. He has to go back for Banner's grandson. Logan has been called many things in his lifetime. A mutant, a freak of nature. However, the second part, they got all wrong. Him and nature, they get along just fine. As Logan enjoys the scenes of the forest, the sound of a branch snapping can be heard, and two hikers startle the nearby deer. The male hiker looks at Logan and he tells him, we didn't think that we'd find anyone out here. And Logan just stares at them, stating, neither did I. The female hiker then says that they got kind of lost and they really can't get a signal, so Logan tells them to just head up the stream about 7 miles. And once they get to the bridge, go west about another 5. The couple thanks Logan. Logan smiles as he can smell the fear of them fade, and the change of that to relief. Just as Logan looks away, he hears the all-too-familiar schnicked, and a blade shoots out of his chest. Logan looks back and he sees that the two hikers have now peeled away their flesh and they reveal their metal interiors. The two robots start to cut away at Logan, using their long claw-like nails, ripping Logan apart. At this point, Logan knows that he can't take the two of them on. They're too strong, too fast. So his only option now is to run away. He heads up the river and he leaps off the ledge into the lake below, and he starts to think of a plan. The robots make their way down into the lake and they spot Logan's blood in the water and they attack him. And as they come out, they find only the chunk of Logan's flesh that he cut off to fool them. Over in the cave, he lets his body regenerate and he begins to think, who'd be after me? Weapon X? Weapon Plus? Reavers? Those things had adamantium blades like fingernails. There's only one person in the world who had those. Yoriko. Meanwhile, in another location, Yoriko sits at a test tube as she tries to crawl her way out. After a few failed attempts, she just looks out of the tube and begins to scratch something onto it. The scientists on the outside read the message, kill you all. And one says, well, that's cheery. Another one sets down a container labeled Logan, and he begins to pull out the chunks of Logan's flesh, stating that they won't have to put up with her for much longer. They've got 2 now and only 3 to go, and as the scientist walks off, he passes 3 more test tubes, each marked Domino, Warpath, and Sabretooth. Later that night, Logan sets out to find the only person he knows can help him. After following the scent, he finds a tree with 4 claw marks and then a torn apart bear. He smiles and says, gotcha. But before he can get far, Victor Creed appears, slashing away at him. Logan shouts back to Creed, telling him he isn't here to fight, and Creed yells back, liar! Logan jumps back, telling Creed to calm down. He can smell as good as him. He can tell if he's lying or telling the truth. Creed stares for a moment and he tells him, I don't know anything anymore. Logan looks at him, telling him, they got you too, huh? Look, all I know is that there are killer cyborgs wearing human skin. Creed closes his eyes and he says, the one that came for me was a little kid. Her face split in half and 1,000,000 claws came out. Logan begins to head up to Creed's cabin and he says, you look like crap, by the way. And Creed shouts, well, yeah. Takes a while to rego half your internal organs and 100 pounds of muscle. Once inside, they decide that they need to work together. They have to get a hold of one of those cyborgs and tap into its memory banks. Creed says that they have been fighting for over 100 years. Why the hell would they team up now? And Logan laughs, telling him, well, I may have come here and passed every security camera along the way, so just give it a few minutes. Before Creed can ask what he's talking about, the cabin explodes and a cyborg appears shouting, die, mutants! Creed looks at the cyborg and says, you son of a... And Logan asks, how about a team up now? Meanwhile, over in Arizona, James Proudstar, the man known as Warpath, notices a helicopter bothering some of the nearby Mustangs. As they run off, he looks up the helicopter and he sighs and he begins to chase after. He leaps up and he flies through the air with his knives and cuts the propellers. As the helicopter comes crashing down, he notices that the pilot is a dummy. All of the Mustangs turn back and they begin to neigh at James, and then they transform into mechanical horses with claws. One stabs into it, but he tries to fight back, but the number of horses is too much, and they begin to overpower him. Back over in Washington State, Logan and Creed fight off the group of cyborgs that are after them. Logan shouts that they nearly killed them when they were separate, so they're just gonna have to fight together. One of the cyborgs cuts into Logan's stomach, and Creed laughs, telling him, haha, looks like you're getting slow. And then the cyborg punches him. Creed starts to get back up and telling him, this is stupid, I'm getting out of here. Logan then watches as Creed runs and he says, oh crap, and he follows close behind. Once he catches up, he says, you know, they do have tracking skills, but they don't have our experience. So I'm a bit curious as to how they would follow us if we went into a box canyon. A short while later, along the ridge, one of the cyborgs begins to sniff, but when it gets Logan's scent, he leaps out, cutting off its head. Creed grabs it, and before Logan can tell him not to, the head self-destructs. Logan shouts, "We needed it alive!" And Creed tells him, "Shut up, there's more coming." Back a ways, two of the cyborgs locate the scent, but they notice it everywhere. One says it's a trap, and they begin to take out clothing and change back into their human forms. Over in the bushes, Creed and Logan watch, and Logan mentions that he caught a whiff of the new skin, and it's their scent. They stole their blood, and he kind of takes that personally. Creed looks at Logan and he tells him, "I really hate you right now, but you're lucky I hate those cyborgs more." Meanwhile, back at the unclassified location, the scientists get to work on their experiments on Warpath. The next morning, Logan and Creed sit in a diner watching the cyborgs as they try to locate them. But then they see them renting a car. Creed,
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. Dang, this long as shit, bro. Listen, bro. Listen, I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna cut this short. We're gonna do a part 2 on this, bro. Okay, bro. I'm gonna see y'all. I'm gonna see y'all like on the weekend, bro. We're gonna finish this, man. Okay, I'm gonna see y'all. Y'all have a blessed night, man. Jesus, this is getting irritating.